wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast talking all about spirit babies. If you are someone like me that typically gets stuck in our left brain and we're in that masculine energy, action oriented, checking off our to-do list, making all these changes, researching, putting our research hat on as we try to figure out what is going on with our fertility. This episode is for you. And although that may be your superpower of research and getting things done, how do we move more into the flow? How do we move to notice the signs? How do we connect with our spirit baby? Because this is going to actually help you being able to open up the spirit realm and being able to bring in your baby. So I'm excited for you to listen to today's episode. Let's go. Hey, Nancy, excited to have you on the podcast.
I'm excited to be here. It's going to be so fun. It's great to see you again. Great to be here again.
Awesome. Yeah. So Nancy and I connected a while ago, and we're now just reconnecting. So excited to chat with you. Maybe just kind of share with us how you came to do this work.
So I work with spirit babies. So these are basically the energies of your future children. And I didn't know that I could connect with them. So it was my own fertility journey that brought me to a man named Walter McKitchen, who is now deceased. But when I was working with him, he showed me that I already knew how to connect with spirit babies. And he helped me to hone that skill while bringing in my second daughter. And I remember having conversations with Walter, and he would say things to the effect of, Nancy, you would have so much fun working with spirit babies. And so here I am. Once he passed in 2011, I decided to do my own kind of honoring of what he had done here on this earth, on this planet, of connecting with spirit babies. He wrote that book, Spirit Babies, How to Connect with the Child You're Meant to Have. And so I work with spirit babies now because of my work with Walter McKitchen, and honor his tribute. It's a big tribute to honoring him and how he worked. And I do it in my own way, though. So it's so much fun working with these beautiful spirit babies. And I'm excited to talk about that today.
Awesome. I love it. So we typically work with couples that, premature ovarian insufficiency or primary ovarian insufficiency, diminished ovarian reserve, low AMH, high FSH. And a lot with that diagnosis, it can be, an RE may have told you, first of all, that IVF is never going to work. You've got a 5% chance of it working, that maybe you've got to go straight to donor eggs, or your eggs are getting old, you're getting old, you had better rush. Like you've got to rush to do a treatment. There's nothing else you can do. Obviously, we're looking at functional medicine, functional nutrition, using testing, doing the biochemical side of things, and also looking at the mental emotional side of this as well, because sometimes those words from the REI can get like lodged in your subconscious, and then you don't even believe that there's any. So I ask people, where are you on the hope? And it can be that roller coaster each month, and people not even being able to believe or see that it's possible. Just having someone else's words kind of stuck with them. So I think the spirit baby piece is really important to be able to give people that hope, and then that inner knowing, and to trust yourself, because we all have intuition. So first of all, let's just talk about, so what is a spirit baby?
This is a great question. And it really is, to me, there's an energy, there's a place in the spirit realm that is focused just for these spirit babies. So it's called the spirit baby realm. And it's this very light and bright place. So every spirit baby has a soul. And we each have a soul. All of us here have a soul. So when you're bringing in a spirit baby, you're really bringing in the soul of that particular energy. So that particular energy, you're connecting with their soul and bringing that in to inhabit a body. So that's the way I look at spirit babies. Really, it's the energy of your future child.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And so let's talk about, like, what are some ways that we can tap into the spirit baby? Someone's like, wait a minute, what is, I've never even thought about this. I've interviewed people over the years who actually saw their spirit baby like years and years beforehand. Like when they were a teenager, I remember interviewing someone years ago, teenager, they saw her, they were on a train. I think they had this feeling that someone was there. And then years later, it was like her child. So, Yeah, how do we, if this is new, how do we tap into this and be aware?
This is a great question because I'm a trained social science researcher. So when I started working with Walter, I was in that very research oriented mindset. And the way that Walter talked about the spirit babies just felt right. And so I knew there was a truth there. So when it comes to connecting with your spirit baby, one, you got to believe that it's possible. If you don't believe it's possible, then you're already putting a block. And we've got a lot of science around that with our mindset and things of uh, thinking about things and having them come towards us or not towards us. All those sorts of things can come into play here. So there's a lot of things here because I'm also thinking about your story that you put in. So I'm going to just kind of
Yeah.
bring in a few pieces here. When spirit babies are around, sometimes they're with us from the time we're young. So your example with the teenager on a train and then seeing their future child, and then, wow, okay, it is really my future child. Things like that can happen. And then spirit babies can come in later too. There's a lot of factors that come into play in terms of whether or not a spirit baby is going to come in. But to answer your question about how can we even start connecting or knowing that they're around is first, like I mentioned, to believe that you can connect in with your future child, and to believe that there's an energy. I mean, science, the new physics is really showing us so much about new ways of looking at things, and how where we put our attention, that's where things manifest, right? Something may actually be there, but if our attention is not there, then it's not there to us. It's really, really quite fascinating how quantum physics is working these days. And so that's something I like to bring in when we're talking about spirit babies, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know. But if we put our attention there, then we can start understanding these subtle cues that our future child may be bringing us. Those subtle cues may be directing you towards a certain care provider, whether it's a medical provider, whether it's an acupuncturist, whether it's someone who will help open you up to a more emotional, mental, and spiritual way of looking at fertility. That was definitely my route that ended up coming. And thank goodness my acupuncturist at the time was the one who recommended Walter. She had asked me if I was open to a more alternative way of looking at bringing in a baby. And I said, absolutely. And it had been a couple of years by that time. And I definitely, no one could find anything wrong in my case. And so we knew that there was something going on there. Our future children it's like, imagine learning a new language, right? If we don't have that vocabulary, if we don't even know how to tap into that type of language, it's going to make it harder. So learning to switch the channel, switch the radio station to where the spirit babies speak is really important. And from my perspective, they speak to us through our heart. HeartMath is doing a lot of great research talking about the energy in the heart and all that stuff. So anyone who's into the science, you can go to heartmath.org and look at their information. But I definitely believe that the spirit babies speak to us through our heart. That's the way that we connect with them. So the more that we're able to get into our heart space, the better. Like you can do the heart focused breathing that HeartMath talks about. And there's a lot of ways that I like to teach people as well. And the type of work I do, meditations can help you get into that very quiet mind. One way you're not going to be able to connect with your spirit baby is if you're always rushing around, if you're super stressed out. Sometimes I hear this actually quite often, sometimes that people are interested or not interested, they're able to connect with their spirit baby when they're at acupuncture. And they ask me, why is this? It's because the acupuncturists are helping to open up your energy channels, your meridians. And so you are energetically more open, and makes it easier for your spirit baby to come in and connect with you. So imagine being able to do that without needing to go in and have the actual needles in acupuncture. So those are the sorts of things that I love to teach people. So other ways that you might know that you are connecting with a spirit baby could be all of a sudden someone talks to you about having a dream about you and a child, or you have a dream about a child, or it could be even through poems. If you wake up singing like a certain song, and you're like, holy cow, I don't even know what that song is, or I haven't heard that in a long time, or throughout your day that happens, those often are ways that spirit babies can communicate with you. Other fun ways are, it could be a feeling in our body, a tingling. It could be like feeling like there's a presence, someone touching our shoulder, someone giving us a hug, someone sitting on our lap. It could be a warmth somewhere in our body. It could be a peacefulness that you feel from them. They can also show up in butterflies or animals or things of that nature. There's a lot of different ways that spirit babies communicate with us. One place I really find where people can get tripped up is they expect to have a verbal dialogue like you and I are having with their spirit baby. That is not how they speak. It is much more in analogies and metaphors. So hopefully that answered a little bit about how people can connect.
Yeah, I love the HeartMath. Our coaches are trained in that. We love it. Yeah, it's been used in organizations and hospital settings and schools for years, like 25 years of study, and just simple yet extremely powerful techniques to really get you out of that fight or flight into the parasympathetic, breathing into the heart space. And that's a cool piece too, to talk about how to connect with the spirit baby while you're doing the HeartMath.
And it's something I'm trained in too. I've done some training with HeartMath. So I love their organization. They're doing great work.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, Joe Dispenza too has just done all sorts of studying of HeartMath, exactly, quantum physics and all that piece of people having these spontaneous healing sessions, and then all the data that he's collected with HeartMath to show that's possible. So because a lot of it is interesting sometimes how we will negatively hypnotize ourselves of, well, like, it's not going to work, and taking someone else's words and that becomes ours, and we're thinking, we're broken, it's not going to work, I'm, infertility, I don't even like using that word. It's like, a fertility diagnosis. It's interesting on that piece. And then we're like still stuck in our head with the planning, controlling, anxiety, worrying piece, that then we're missing all the signs around us. You're talking about the song, today's song for me, I don't even know why it's there, but sexy and you know it, that song, I'm running around the house going, why am I singing this song? It's like stuck in my head. But anyways, like that, if you wake up from a dream and stuff like that, is interesting with the dreams. I have a lot of, like, my husband's father passed away years ago. He literally is always coming to me in my dreams. He's got lots to say, and he's always he's a big presence as a, for his personality. He's got lots to say in dreams. But and so do people, like, how do you encourage them kind of from a tactical standpoint, like taking dream journals, or just a lot of it, I guess, is at this stage just to be able to notice some of those feelings you're talking about, the tingling, the song, the dreams, all that piece.
One thing that I really love to encourage people to do is to get more connected with their physical body. Our physical body is constantly talking to us and constantly giving us clues about what's going on. And most of us don't pay much attention to it. And so once we slow down a little bit, we start paying attention to, oh my gosh, what's going on in my left elbow right now? What about my right big toe? All right, what's going on in my heart right now? We can start understanding more of the clues that we might be getting in our body in terms of connecting with our intuition, connecting with other energies, and just even understanding. Doing those sorts of practices also helps you to get into your body more, gets you more centered, gets you more grounded. If you're interested in connecting with your future child, this is my N of one, this is my take. It really helps to be grounded and in your body. If you're not grounded and in your body, the thing that I like to say is, who's in there? What energy's in there if you're not there? So it behooves us to really come from a very grounded place when we want to connect with our future child. That's also, I feel, one of the reasons why in acupuncture, people are usually more relaxed, they're more in their bodies, they're more grounded, and then they can connect more. So a few things there.
Yeah, the acupuncture kind of, I haven't done it in a while, but it makes you feel very zen-like and blissful. And I come there, coming out going, oh, just feel just, yeah, relaxed. Take half an hour for yourself. And also fertility acupuncture. So we've done a lot of episodes on that about the benefits for fertility as well. Um, and so what about like if someone's experienced a miscarriage, or a pregnancy loss, how does the spirit baby piece work there?
I work with a lot of people who've had some sort of loss. And when it comes to a miscarriage or any other type of loss, there's a lot of things going on. One is sometimes the actual spirit baby is coming in just to give you a message. I'm around. Here I am. You wanted a baby. Here I am. I'm coming in. I'm just letting you know that I'm around. I'm not quite ready, but I'm around. So that can actually be one of the reasons a spirit baby may come. I know that was definitely why I had a miscarriage. My particular spirit baby wasn't quite ready to come in, but she knew that I wanted a baby so bad. So she came in for a short period of time and then left. Yes, the spirit babies have a say on when they come in, if they want to come in. Spirit babies also have free will. So they can choose to exit at times, even when we think that it's all gonna come. Sometimes the miscarriages can happen just from like someone's not quite ready. And it may actually even be the mama is not quite feeling ready. Yes, she wants a baby, but oh, yes, it's just not quite feeling right for her. Maybe she's not with the partner that she really desires to be with, or there's some sort of conflict going on in the home. There can be a miscarriage at that point as well. When there is a miscarriage, what I highly recommend is to definitely do your grieving, do any sort of honoring from that perspective, and to also honor the connection with the soul. Because remember, every spirit baby is a soul. So by honoring the soul and that connection with that soul for that amount of time can help with a deep healing on that spiritual level. It can also help on the emotional and mental levels as well. But one of the places I see that people often miss when they're bringing in a child is the spiritual aspect. From my point of view, bringing in a child is a very spiritual process. And I didn't know that to be, that was not the way I looked at this when I was, back in my younger years. But I definitely can see and can feel now just how much reverence is around bringing in a child. And if we bring in that reverence to this opportunity to honor this loss that happened, what a beautiful way to help heal any lingering anything that might be there around this particular loss. So a couple things there about loss.
Yeah, and I guess for people that have experienced that, right? I wonder if they're like the signs and stuff like that, because I don't know, you don't want to have someone feeling like they're to blame for any of this piece. So yeah.
I'm so glad you brought this up because a lot of people come to me wanting to know like what happened, and I will say, no one at this moment is coming to mind where there was a spirit baby who was just like, you did something wrong and there's no way. I've never seen that. It's always about timing or something else was just not in alignment, things of that nature. So yes, many of us, and I was in this category as well, as after the miscarriage, I was like, I was mad at God. I was like, this is unfair. The estimated date of arrival of my daughter at that time was the anniversary of my mom's death. So I thought this was, I'm bringing in a child to help heal that. And no, it was a big tearing open of the heart. And I also want to say that sometimes, in fact, maybe always, but I'll say often, these sorts of situations with a loss are actually here to teach us a lesson. So as an example for me, well, actually, let me back up here. If you think about it, as humans, when do we learn the most? When do we change the most? When there's something challenging going on. If things are just status quo, we're not usually apt to go in and delve in and do any sort of big changes in ourselves, like changing patterns that may not be in our best and highest good, may not be the healthiest any longer. And so sometimes the spirit babies are here helping you to break out of some of these older patterns if you so choose. So that's another aspect here. The big part of this is the forgiveness towards the self. That was something Walter McKitchen really taught me. And it was a lot about, just self-love, and that none of this was my fault. It really wasn't. The miscarriage, there was nothing that I did. The spirit baby, like I mentioned earlier, just was not ready to come in at that time, but she wanted me to know that she was around. So really being very compassionate towards yourself, watching those, as one Jungian psychoanalyst I know, she's got to be in her 80s now. I knew her in her 70s, a very dynamic woman. And we were talking about kind of spirit babies and how our ego, our mind can really come in. She called it the annihilator. So when you have that critical judge coming in, oh my God, you did so bad, it's all your fault. The annihilator, really, I encourage you to notice where that voice came from, because that's not your true authentic, like soul voice. Your soul voice is never going to be mean to you. It's never going to put you down. It may push you to do something you're not comfortable doing, but it's not going to like hit you over the head with any negative comments. So being very mindful that those are not your authentic voice. And if you so choose, I encourage people to kind of get to the underneath where those voices came from. If it was from a parent, from something that happened in school, from culture, anything like that. So those are a few things around that. It's a huge thing. Like most people I work with have had some sort of loss.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then how are our spirit babies choosing us as parents? People are always saying, we when our parents choose us, and then they're sort of here for some lessons of whatever parents that we have, right? So what are you seeing there?
Lots of different things here in terms of why a spirit baby may choose you. And just to kind of reiterate what we talked about a little bit earlier, sometimes a spirit baby may choose you from the get-go, and you may be in contact with them from the time you're young, and sometimes not. There's a great movie called The Adjustment Bureau. I think it was in 2011. Matt Damon and Emily Blunt, if I'm not mistaken, were in it. It's kind of action-packed, but it's like the premise behind it that I thought was really cool and that can come into play here. So every time, the main characters did something, it would shift all these lines, shift all these like trajectories of where all these other things would happen in their lives. So that's the same thing that happens to us when we're bringing in a spirit baby, because we're working with the quantum field. And so there may be a certain trajectory, but, and let's say your spirit baby is interested in you having a certain partner, but somewhere along the lines, you shift and you're not with that particular partner, you're with another partner. That spirit baby may go away and another one may come in instead. So just as an example, there's so many different threads here, but spirit babies may choose us because of the location we live in. They may need to be in a certain part of the world. They may actually choose us because of it's like financial needs. Some spirit babies may need a certain type of income to grow up in order to be able to have opportunities to go out and do certain things. That's not often, that's pretty rare, but I just want to put that in because yes, that can happen. Sometimes spirit babies come in because, and this is often the case, is they have some sort of connection with us. And this may not be everyone's worldview, but this is mine, and I'm just going to bring it in, is because these souls have had some sort of connection with us in a different lifetime. And if you don't believe in that, that's absolutely fine. I happen to, at one point in my life, I didn't believe in that, but there's been so many instances in my life and working with clients that I now definitely believe in that. And there's a lot of research, definitely with little kids, even great books about past life experiences. So that's the most common. Is there some sort of past life interaction that you've had with this particular child? And they're often coming in to either heal something or to help us grow in some way, or we're here to help them grow. Usually it's both ways. And sometimes these past lives connections can be really strong with us. Sometimes they're with our partner. And if there are already other children in the family, sometimes these past life connections are this spirit baby is really coming in to be with that sibling. So lots of different ways that can come into play here with spirit babies choosing us. There's a lot of other things, but maybe we'll keep it at that to give people some things to think about.
What about an imaginary friend? What if someone had that? What do you see? Think about that.
Absolutely. There are lots of different things. It could be, let's say someone, it's a young child or what have you. It could actually be like their sibling, if you will. It could be someone who's going to come later in their life. Maybe it's someone they're going to meet later. Maybe it's a partner. It could be a spirit baby coming in early, just to say, hello, I'm going to see you later, or whatever they're doing. So lots of interesting things that can happen with these imaginary friends. And I would love to share a little story that Walter McKitchen kind of helped me with. It wasn't, this was actually something concrete that was happening with my older daughter. She was having nightmares when she was young. And Walter reminded me that everything is energy, even these nightmares. So when we tell our children, whether it's imaginary friend, if we tell our children, you're making this up, let that go, it's actually energy. So there's actually something there. And when we're young, we are typically much more in tune with our intuition than when we're older. So Walter always recommended to me, believe the dreams, whatever is happening for your daughter is real on some level. So same with imaginary friends. I recommend, if people are comfortable, or even if you're not, if you're able to acknowledge that, oh, wow, hey, this is energy. My child may actually be tapping into a different frequency, a different TV channel, different radio station, if you will, than I'm able to see or to understand right now. So that can actually be really healing and helpful for kids when we can do that. And definitely it could be a spirit baby.
Yeah, my daughter had a imaginary friend for a period of time there, where it was full conversations, always talking. It was like Shaker. Little Shaker was always trailing around, and yeah, she's very, very intuitive and imaginative and all this sort of piece. But yeah, it is interesting how, I think obviously we're all intuitive. And then if we get stuck in the corporate environment, wherever we are, and this stuff, gets beaten out of us, this now is to hone it and bring it back, right? Because we get so stuck in on the left and the science and logic, and to get into the peace as you're on this journey, to give yourself some peace, is when you can access the spiritual realm here, be it from your faith, be it universe, whatever is going to be right for you. As part of our program, we include either a distance Reiki session with people, with someone where she's going to pull cards and being able to give messages that way, and spirit babies, or if someone's more there's a faith-based Christian couple session we have that they can do sort of more scripture and things like that. So to be able to lean in on that piece, because a lot of the times, even more in the faith-based piece of this, as you're on the fertility journey, you might withdraw yourself from those kind of areas, because there's usually a lot of children and pregnancies and families, and even going to a place of worship can be very triggering, because you're seeing all the things that you want, and all these, all that kind of stuff can be painful. And during a struggle, to how we need connection, and then connecting to the spirit baby can then give you this this sense of peace. So I guess if someone's feeling, like they've been, like most people probably you have too, that been trying for years, they've gone through, numerous failed treatments. They're just kind of feeling like, I have people just saying they're feeling so hopeless, just like, oh my goodness. Like, how do we, like, if we're down there in the dumps and we've been told by this REI or, someone in a medical authority with a white coat that, you're going to struggle. This is not going to work. You're basically screwed. You can only do donor eggs. How do we then turn this around so we don't negatively hypnotize ourselves? Obviously, you need to look at the biochemical and work on your physical side of things. This is not just about meditating all day long. We advocate for people to advocate for their health, but the spiritual side of things is equally as important. So what would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, no, definitely. So the physical, absolutely. We got to have some sort of action to bring a baby in, whether it's, through natural conception, through IVF, through surrogacy, whatever it is, there's some sort of action that needs to be taken. What I recommend, though, is inspired action. And inspired action comes from quieting ourselves. And that takes practice because we do live in a world where it's very fast paced. We are always looking outside ourselves for the answer, whether it's the next book or the next practitioner or the next, that's what I hear all the time. And I'm here to remind people to come inward. And I'm going to say daily, at least 2 minutes a day. It's like brushing our teeth. We do such a great job with our physical hygiene. We don't always do such a great job with our energetic hygiene. So starting to understand that energetic hygiene can actually help very much in this category. If someone's feeling hopeless, if someone's feeling anxious, if someone's feeling overwhelmed, they are disconnected from their spiritual side. That's just the way it is. Remember, you're bringing in a baby from the spirit realm. If you're disconnected from the spirit side, what do you think that looks like to your future child? So, sometimes things like that can help us snap out of our, kind of down in the dumps, if you will. And so I really like to remind people that you're bringing in a soul from the spirit realm. If you're not connected to the spirit realm and just don't even believe in it, that might be a deterrent for your future child. When you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling hopeless, when you're feeling overwhelmed, any of those sorts of things, it's also an indication that you're not in present time, meaning you're not centered, you're not grounded, you're not in your body. The only point of power we truly have is in the now. But if we're like in that anxious mode or fear mode or feeling hopeless, we're in the past. And if we're going to hold on so tightly to the past, then it doesn't give us a lot of room to bring in new things. So sometimes these analogies can be super helpful. What I have found to be really helpful in terms of helping to shift out of these patterns are things like HeartMath, super simple. And those are the types of tools that I like to teach as well, these super simple tools to help you learn how to come inward for the answers, because your body, as we talked about earlier, getting people in their body, what's going on in your left elbow or your right toe or what have you, are ways to help you connect more with your body. Your intuition comes through lots of feelings, lots of things that come in your body. Some of us may see things or hear things, but really we all feel things if we allow ourselves to do that. So being able to give yourself permission to feel more. So many of us don't want to feel. We don't want to process what we've gone through. If we're not willing to integrate at least some of this, we may be constantly for the rest of our lives looking for the answer outside of ourselves. And that's not, from my perspective, where the deepest, richest answers lie. To me, they are internal, and they come from that internal wisdom that we have, that 110-year-old self, if you will.
Yeah, that's so many people are, and I used to do this all the time where I'd be like, what do you think I should do? And then ask that person, I'm going to go down a laundry list of all my friends, all this, listing of people of what should I do here? What should I do there? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, it was years of that. And then I take some of the advice. I'm like, why did I follow that advice? It's like, you know what to do. Like, obviously, if you found us here listening to this podcast, this is an invitation too, to be able to to, go deeper. It is to grant yourself grace. Like, we know this journey can be difficult, right? It's like to mother yourself, parent yourself now before your child arrives, and being able to, like, I like that grounded piece. Because that's helpful for me as well too, where sometimes we get sort of so stuck up in planning and controlling, and that's my default. In times of stress, if I don't watch out, then I get completely misaligned. I go into more anger, into more like, and I want to beat against my head against the wall. So it is to kind of grant yourself some grace, look at some of your patterns of what it is you typically do. And then how do you then, come back to the presence. I was in a really good pattern of meditating like daily for years, and literally I've been off probably for the last year or so. I just haven't done it. I just kind of would maybe a little bit of being meditate when I put on my face creams, just because I like doing the whole routine with a roller and that thing. So I'm kind of telling myself that I'm doing that when I'm putting on the creams. But before, I'd sit there for 20 minutes or even longer. I would be in this whole communicating with my spirit animal, like with like auras and past lives, and like I love all that stuff. And literally, we would do these activities, and stuff would come in, and we're like, wow. And it just, so the more it is like a practice, right, of doing it. Just because I haven't done it for a year doesn't mean I can't get back at it. It is like exercising. So it is, but it is kind of that, like you say, doing a couple minutes, right, to a day, and putting yourself first. Like our program, probably yours as well, where like you've got to show up to do some of these sessions because you're putting yourself first before your child arrives, or they're waiting right now for you, kind of thinking, oh, what's she doing down there? What are they doing? Like maybe we're like too busy in the job, we're too busy with the life. Where do we, the boundary piece is like a buzzword, but where do we set some boundaries?
Yeah, no, I love everything you said because there's so much here. It really is. I mean, start with something that is bite-sized. Everyone can do 2 minutes a day of some sort of gentle breathing. Literally putting your hands on your heart, breathing in and out of your heart, setting a timer for 2 minutes. If you do that every day, you're going to feel some shifts. And longer is great, and some of us are like, I can't fit anything in. We can all fit 2 minutes in. So that's why I like to recommend that. And I like the analogy of we brush our teeth, we bathe often, we do a lot of great things for our physical health when we're on this fertility journey. What about our energetic health? That is equally important. So once we know how to calm that nervous system, take some deep breaths, do a meditation, those sorts of things are super, super important. And also show your spirit baby that you are interested in quieting yourself some more. From my perspective, spirit babies, at least the spirit babies I work with, they really like when someone's more grounded, when they have taken time to try and connect with the spirit baby, connect with the spirit realm. They are less inclined to come into a family that's super, super stressed, never slowing down, never doing anything to shift themselves. And anyone listening to that podcast, that's not likely you, because you're taking the time to even listen to this podcast. And, any of the programs that Sarah and I offer are here to delve deeper. And for me, it's all about self-love. And that's exactly my journey when I was working with Walter McKitchen. It was so much about self-love, so much about connecting with the spirit realm. So it's huge when we're talking about the spirit babies. So many of us can inadvertently create blocks by not slowing down. Like I'd already talked about in terms of, some of the things with the spirit babies. These spirit babies do really well when we're grounded. They're never looking for perfection. They're looking for progress. So I like to say that as well. So any perfectionistic tendencies out there, I know that's something I brought in this lifetime with my personality trait, is lovingly know that you take some forward action, inspired action, not the type of action where, oh my God, I got to do this because I got to check it off my list. That creates a block from an energetic perspective. If you do this from an act of self-love, it might even be as simple as putting your hands on your heart each day. And this is something Walter McKitchen had me do. I am here to receive. I am here to receive. I'm kind of going with my feminine flow at the moment, so I'm going to say a few more things about this because this is super important. So many of us are action oriented, like, oh, I got to help them and I got to help me, and then I got to get the answer here, I got to do that and that. And we haven't given ourselves permission or maybe even learned how to receive. Being able to receive is important in this fertility journey. And that may be the missing piece for some of us. Like receiving your spirit baby, receiving the information they're bringing you, receiving guidance from whether it's loved ones or friends or whatever synchronicities are around. So I am here to receive. Super simple phrase you can say every day. The more you do it from a heartfelt space, the more it's going to work. I know it's something that I still do many, many, many years later. I still say that. And it's often like days in a row. I am here to receive. I'll close my eyes and just take a deep breath. I am here to receive. Oh, so many different things that can factor into bringing in the baby. And there are things that you can do. And one of the biggest things is the category of self-love. And starting to carve out some time to do some of these practices. And Sarah, maybe this conversation is one that will spur you to set aside at least 2 minutes a day to continue with your meditation practice.
Yeah, like when I was doing it, I always said, I'm like, this is the foundation of everything. And I just got so overly busy with stuff that I'm like, it just slipped away. And then I got out of the habit. And obviously I preach this stuff, but also it's like, it's not about being perfect too, right? We all have these seasons and we're doing our best and stuff like that. And like I as I said, I was doing that program for a while where I really was with the spirit animals and all that sort of stuff, which I really enjoyed. So but it is like this boundaries and being able to put yourself first. And if you find that you're because I typically get a lot of researchers where everyone's like, I have my research hat on, and that's why you're probably listening to the podcast, trying to get some information. And so, which can be helpful. I'm all about research and information. That's why I like doing this work, because I'm always discovering something new and it's really cool. I'm like, oh, great, let's talk to everybody about it. Have someone on the podcast to discuss it. But it's not always about like the data and the research and the knowledge. It is the being present and being able, and I like that, just being able to receive, and then that just keeps you in a calm space, because I think so many of us are like, okay, let's go, and like beating ourselves up. I can't tell you how many people I speak to where they're like, I'm just finishing my master's. Oh, just finishing my doctorate. Oh yeah, just came off, like just got promoted, and I've been doing all these like uber masculine energy pieces, overly scheduled, and like taking time to, and then this becomes another thing where we're like, oh, we're going to do all the fertility to-do list things, right? So
I have a couple things to say about this, if I may.
Yeah, go for it.
Here. So one is, when you are listening to these podcasts, are you doing it from your heart or your head? When you're out looking for a book or a resource or whatever, again, is this from your heart or your head? That's one way to help us see how much of a pattern we may be in when we're going just to the analytical mode and forgetting or not relying on or not allowing these other aspects of ourselves as well. Other thing, I can't remember, this might have been, I can't remember where I heard this, but I love this, and I do this because I have a very strong mental mind, anyways. If I find myself like starting to go into my left brain and think about things, switch it to your right brain. Just imagine thinking about whatever it is and do it from the right side of your brain instead of the left side. For me, it's a very different experience. It may help train you also to look at things from a different perspective. And that's so much about what I love to teach people, is starting to look at things from a different perspective. Because if we're trying to solve a problem from the same ways that we've always done it, from that analytical mode, like the Einstein quote, it just doesn't work. And we're not going to go there. And when it comes to a spirit baby, they're on a different channel. And if we're not looking at or even allowing ourselves to contemplate the fact that there's a different channel that these spirit babies are in on, or a different radio station, whatever analogy you like, and we're only looking for information at on a different channel, that may be the disconnect there.
Yeah, give us an example of, so here we are in our left brain. We're like, give me the data, the knowledge. Should I go for, when will I know it's time to go for next IVF? When will I know it's time to do donor eggs? How do I plan all this out? I know I need to work on my health, and so feeling very like logical in the decision. So how do we then shift that over? If we're stuck over there, like we've got this diagnosis, we're gonna figure it out. That is your superpower, right? Because you're like action. People are action oriented, going to take charge. We're not going to sit back and let this happen to us. But in that, there is like, you got to put your foot on the gas pedal, but then you also need to like be able to just sit back and being able to know that it'll flow and it'll work. So there's a whole dance on that. So how do we then bring ourselves over to the right? Like, how would you do that?
That's great. To me, this is all masculine energy and feminine energy, and we need both. And if you think about it in the fertility realm, we need a ton of that feminine energy. And if we're constantly doing, that's the masculine energy, and we're not allowing the feminine energy in. So, as an example, bringing something to the right brain, if you will, or how to figure out, okay, here I am, I've got all these things going on. When do I do my next IVF? Bring it to the body. Ask yourself, best doing this when you're grounded. If you're anxious, you're going to get a certain type of result. But if you're more grounded and you're more neutral about the outcome, you're going to get a different type of answer. And this does take some practice, just like anything else in the world. I don't know anyone who got on a bike the first time and was able to ride and, for hours upon hours from the first time. It takes practice. So learning to trust yourself, trust what the information your body is giving you. And what do I mean by that? So you can practice. Next time you're around someone, just notice what happens in your body. As an example, if there's someone that may not be the best fit for us to be around, our stomach may clench, or there may be a tightening in our chest or our heart, or our throat might get tight. Versus if there's someone, and this might be at the grocery store or the supermarket, this might be at the gas station or at the mall. Just start noticing how you feel. Give yourself a chance to bring some more awareness, because if you don't have the awareness, you can't change these things. There's just no way. We're on autopilot. So becoming more aware of what happens in your body. And then there are those people who are around like, oh my gosh, this is so great. My heart opens, or there's some sort of expansion or peacefulness that you feel in your body. Those are some of the things that can happen. I know, like, oh my gosh, do I go in for the IVF tomorrow? Or, that wouldn't quite be the case, but let's say next month, do I do it on, whatever, the 15th of next month? Do I do that? Take a few cleansing breaths, deep, close your eyes, feel your feet on the ground. And if you're sitting, then feel the backs of your legs against whatever you're sitting on. And then ask the question again. Is it in my best and highest good to go in the middle of next month for the IVF? And notice what happens in your body. If it's a clenching, there's a no. If there's an opening, that's a yes. It does, I want to reiterate, it takes practice to learn this. And it is so worth it. Because if we are making decisions from a more grounded state, we're going to, this is my belief, we're going to go down a trajectory that's in our best and highest good, rather than just one where, oh my God, it's just that and that and that and that, where we're in hyperdrive. I feel like, and this again is an N of one, I feel like we are divinely guided. And the way that we are divinely guided is by listening to ourselves and bringing in that feminine energy. The divine guidance isn't purely masculine. We will not follow our divine guidance if we're constantly doing without doing from an inspired action.
Yeah, I love that. And do you have anything, I think you have a free option or a free download for the audience. Anything you want to share there?
There's a meditation to connect with your spirit baby. So super simple, in 15 minutes, sit there. This is also a time for you just to relax. And if you fall asleep, totally fine. The great thing is you're relaxing, and just know that this information will also come to you more on that subconscious realm. But I encourage you to listen to it, and listen to it several times. Some of you will likely feel connecting to your spirit baby the first time, and it might take more than one time. Remember, it's like riding a bike, learning a new language. It may not happen overnight.
Great. And they can find that at Nancy May, Nancy May, MAE.com/naturally. So it's the spirit baby meditation. So you can definitely check that out. Any final comments or thoughts today on our topic, Nancy?
Absolutely. I would love to remind everyone to give yourselves a lot of grace. Really give yourself a lot of compassion walking through this journey, this fertility journey. I know for me, it was not an easy one. And it was one of the most important things in my life. It really has made me who I am now. And that's really what I wish for each of you as well, is to integrate the lessons that this fertility journey is offering you, and to learn how to connect with your future child, to really honor your soul, honor yourself, start some sort of 2 minutes of some sort of practice each day to slow down and go inward, and enjoy this at least some of the time. That's what the spirit babies want. They really want joyful, playful energy. That's the energy of the spirit baby realm. It is not super dense, angry, frustrated. So even a couple of minutes a day that you can, or a couple seconds a day, you can tap into that. Might be a joke book, might be a meme, might be, I've got some YouTube videos that just crack me up, or pictures of animals that are just hilarious. Like my cat was sitting in the bathroom sink the other day. I cracked up. So things like that are also helpful in terms of your fertility journey and bringing in your spirit baby.
I love that. Yeah, definitely with the little videos. My husband's got this little dog video he keeps showing me, little Nicky's a little chihuahua that will, like, he goes to kiss him and then he's like, hey, he like tries to bite him anyway. He's got like a million followers, but every day we're like, what's Nicky doing? And Nicky's doing something silly. But yeah, it is that playful, and so there's a lot of dense energy and it can be heavy, right? So how do we have glimpses each day, a little bit of that play side? So that's, I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you.
Thank you so much.